Hi everyone. This time I want to talk about sex and spirituality. It's an ancient question to what extent those two things might be compatible or incompatible and what we can do about them. We all know that in our Western world, sex has been demonized mostly within Judeo-Christian traditions because people we are searching for elevation of the spirit, we are searching for transcendence, we are searching for high ground. They tend many times to mistrust sex because sex tends to be very carnal, very dense, very concrete, very connected to the body and to the bodily instinct. But I would say that this doesn't have to be like this. Other spiritual traditions will say otherwise about sexuality and spirituality. Indeed, there is a problem. For instance, have been in India some time ago. I visited the famous Taj Mahal, which indeed is a wonderful monument, a beautiful piece of art. And we all know that moving story that the builder of the Taj Mahal made it as an homage to his deceased wife that he missed a lot, that was very dear to him. So he made this wonderful monument. To me, this is an illustration of how sexuality can be very good and very bad. Because as he made this wondrous construction, apparently later on, he really mistreated and killed lots of the workers of that piece of art, lots of the people involved, because he didn't want anyone to ever build something as beautiful as that, according to some ideas. Well, we all know that humanity has lots and lots of precious works of art in architecture, in sculpture, in painting, in theater, cinema, and so on, that is connected with sexuality. It's many times a celebration of love between the sexes, and sometimes of the way we can um, protect other people and find inspiration from them and so on in very interesting sexual relationships. At the same time, we also know that humanity has made awful things because of sexuality, the kind of sexuality that becomes degraded and degrading, that becomes aggressive, that does not respect the other person. Indeed, I have found from the ancient desert priests an idea that I do like, that is, sexuality can become the sin of lust, can become something that we should not do, but it can also be virtuous and chaste. It can be a sexuality that elevates us, that is not sinful at all, that is highly connected to a spiritual path. So what is the difference there? To them, it's mostly about the way we are with the other person, the other human being. If we are not able to respect the other human being, if we are just using him or her for pleasure, for the moment, and then we sort of dispose of the other person, this becomes sinful, degrading, and this is just focused in the body. But then, if we have a deep respect with the other person, we have a deep connection, there is real love, there is many layers and levels connecting through sexuality. If we really like to be with the other person and we have this intense, deep connection, then sexuality can be virtuous and chaste and highly compatible with elevation towards our soul. So there is a qualitative difference to be taken into account in the way we are with other people, sexually speaking. But I also would like to point to something else. We are told that even the construction of the universe comes from a relationship of speech, spirit, and matter, of the two great poles of creation. And when they conjoin, when they get together, we have a generative force, a creative force that produces the universe, that sparkles. Well, this is also, perhaps in a minor version, what happens when we create a child. Indeed, a precious and important function of sexuality, of course. But let me skip a little bit that part to say that if with sex we have such a powerful creative energy working at work, it's extremely important that we pay attention to how we feel and what is in our mind, even at the moment of making love, because we can produce something that might be quite undesirable, although powerful, or we might produce very beautiful things. I have dealt with clients who became just too attached energetically wise to other people because of the way they were feeling, thinking during sex. And of course, we can deal with that. So let's pay attention to how we go about sexual relationships, because we can produce all sorts of different results according to how we are there, how we are at the moment, our state of consciousness. Well, there's a lot we can say about this. Sexuality may connect, of course, with spirituality to the extent that we are with the other person in a very deep way, with body and soul, with tenderness many times, with a deep attention towards the other person, with sort of elevated intentions. And this is something that might be precious to all of us. We all know that in Western areas, many times, sexuality has been demonized. And some people, they have been forbidden to have sex because they are priests or priestesses, because they have a religious way. But I think that many times people forgot to tell them how to actually deal then with sexual energy and with the urges of the physical body. And because of that, lots of suffering and lots of distortion, lots of degradation has been produced in some situations, and too many of them. I suppose with lots also of inner conflict and many times against their will. So some priests and priestesses, they did things they didn't feel okay with, that they didn't want in a way. They were sometimes forced to have a secret sexual life because they didn't know how to go about the whole thing. And I think just blocking sexual energy is a very bad idea. It's a lot better if you learn how to use it in many different ways. And those ways might be creative, constructive, either when we are actually in the carnal, physical, sexual relationship, or when we are doing something else with sexual energy, with creative energy. So we can indeed become very aware of sexuality, and we can also become very aware of desire, what it is, what is its impact. Well, desire means usually that we want to repeat something that has been nice, precious, or pleasurable to us, or that we imagine that something that we might get, we might experience or acquire, will give us pleasure. In both situations, we are projecting ourselves towards the future, and we are becoming attached to objects, people, places, experiences, and generally speaking, to the wheel of time. Then the opposite might happen if we are able to stay in the present time, into we as whole people with deep respect and love for other people, for someone special, in the moment. Then we have inner joy, but we don't need desire. We don't need time projections. Perhaps the moment is complete in itself. And I would say that might be beautiful. And this is what I wanted to share for today. So as usual, if you like it, please share, comment, subscribe the channel. See you later.